Yeah, come on. When the music's over, when the music's over, yeah. When the music's over, turn up the lights, turn up the lights, turn up the lights.
Me lethal, bringing it lethal. Step through the door, you checking your ego. Get out of hand, we checking your people. Goes too far, we getting medieval. Look, you broken up, position and fetal. No wings on the barrel, but you see the eagle. Hit trees anyway you think it's legal. You're on a mission for the bag like your name is Smeagol. Make it run so far like a flock of seagulls. From the assassin, we put out hits like Beatles. What you worried for? Why you on pins and needles? Let's hit the whiskey bar for a drink, I mean.
Well, the music is your special friend. Dance on fires, it intends. Music is your only friend. Until the
We came to uplift, get the place moving. Collab with a decade, this one's a stewing. Can't stop moving to the beat, my knucker. Bring for this here like dope through a plucker. Bring the big heat, melt you down like butter. Dominate the scene with the words that I utter. Get the world open, moving, singing. Satellite waves, let you know what I'm bringing. Music is my only friend, I figure. Stay true, blue, bank accounts get bigger. I'm out here for now, but I tell you where I'm going. Straight to get paid after this hit show.
well, the music is your special friend. Dance on fires, it intends. Music is your only friend. Cancel my subscription to the resurrection. Send my credentials to the house of detention. I got some friends inside.
You're unfriendly, you wanna commend me. Say you're hardcore, we know you're pretending. I slide in the whip to hate me so tempting. Hate all you want, that's just too much envy. Holding that heater, you best to aim steady. Play with me, my game is so deadly. You say to me the time that I'm spending. Trashing you's away, so what? I'm not bending. Tell us what you want, or thoughts are still pending. What to do next when your shit's ending. Have another drink while your wound's mending. This one's for Jim, drink up, I'm done bending.
Music is your special friend. Dance on fires, it intends. Music is your only friend. Till the end, until the end, until the
Good evening, YouTube.
Good evening. What you saying, man? You good?
Hello. Sorry about last week and the week before. Had a family emergency, and now here we are this evening live. So good evening, Age.
How you doing, man? You good?
So this evening we're going to be talking about some famous people.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the famous people of 23.
I mean, if you was to like get like, I don't know, top 10 charts up or something, it'd probably be a little bit different to that. But like, you'd have people like Rihanna and Taylor Swift, and probably Elon Musk would be in there as well. But
Yeah,
like, I
with the
suppose we do
purchase
it.
of Twitter.
We do it with like people that are more corrupt and that sort of people. That's what we're on about tonight. Maybe corrupt
Oh,
or
hello,
influential.
hello to Batman. Thanks for the member. You get a lot of benefits in the coming months. I'm planning a lot of stuff for the memberships, and the numbers are growing. So yeah, cheers, mate. And hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining the discussion. I'll put the link in the chat for the panel if anyone wants to join. They can talk about any of the 5 guys that we've got on there. We've got Bill Gates, Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Vladimir Putin, and George Soros. But if you want to name any other names, go ahead.
Like Donald Trump,
Mr. Trump. Yeah,
Rishi Sunak.
he's another one. You should put him on the list. You should put all the presidents on the list and the prime ministers.
I suppose I just put the current one in, who happens to be Joe Biden.
Mr. Joe Biden.
But I reckon Trump is probably more influential and has more like clout than Joe Biden. I don't know. We'll have a look into it. I suppose Joe Biden's got a lot of corrupt links. Like, it's been going on for decades.
He has been a politician for over 40 years.
Yeah.
What has he got done in his 40 years?
I don't know. We'd have to like look through certain things he's done. I suppose. No, not much.
Yeah, I've seen a few videos on YouTube and here and there, and all the conspiracy telegrams of Joe Biden when he was younger. And it just looked like he had a character. He was playing a character in these chambers, whatever they're called in America.
Yeah, he's a
Just
lot
looks so
smart.
fake.
He's a lot smarter than he comes across as. I think he's just playing this dumbass like old guy at the minute.
Yeah.
And it's working. I suppose it's. What about Bill Gates in at the minute? I'll get all these pictures up first, quick.
Bill Gates. Here's another one. Put 1 in the chat, guys, if you like Bill Gates. Put 2 in the
No
chat
one likes
if
Bill
you don't
Gates,
like
man.
Bill Gates. Let me see those numbers.
Don't think there's many people that like Bill Gates. Yeah, check this picture out there. This is all of his little companies and going-ons.
I dropped my phone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? 1 2 1 2.
Okay, 1 2.
Okay, great.
2 all the way. I wonder if I can zoom in on that one. Yeah.
1.5.
So, like, before the pandemic, he gave all this money to all these little companies and organizations. It was almost like he was expecting something to happen.
Agent X says she respects Bill Gates. Not many can accomplish what he has.
Yeah, I suppose.
What has he accomplished, Agent X? making billions and billions, and now he's using that money against the people by making these so-called injections and vaccines and whatever, these medicines. And look at them. I'm going to these protests, Agent X. Don't you see the? Didn't you see the pictures on the at the protest on the strings? All the people that died from this thing. All of these billionaires invest in these companies. Just look at the picture. Can you zoom it in so we can get like a full? That's it. Yes.
Gave 53 million to the BBC, 40 million to Chris Whitty.
All these
18 million.
experiments, I bet you all these experiments that has been experimented across the world, all these billionaires are looking at them and they're thinking, how can we play with the people, you know? How can we have some fun now, you know? So this is how they did. They give money to the BBC, like you said, and they control us through the TVs and the news and the propaganda. You know, there's a word for that, Age. What is it? Manipulate.
Yeah. And I suppose this is all the companies that he makes his money off at the minute. I think he sold all his shares in Microsoft, most of them anyway. Cat. They're one of the biggest companies in Israel, like bulldozing all the houses. Berkshire Hathaway, that's what's his name? Forget his name now. Anyone know the guy from Berkshire Hathaway? Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, another billionaire.
He's another billionaire. He owns Berkshire Hathaway.
People like him because of his soft act that he does, plays on media, on TV, his social media character. Firm words, but nice and soft and cuddly. But in reality, you know, he's pushed people out of houses. He's done a bit of damage to us, the people, to get where he is.
I even made a documentary on him, like, when was it? 2 years ago. Just about Microsoft, really.
Morally aside, Agent X says, he's accomplished a lot for a guy that's autistic. I don't have to like him, to respect him, or agree with him. There's nothing wrong with being a billionaire. It's how you get there. Exactly what I'm saying, Batman. Exactly what I'm saying. Look at all of these companies that Bill Gates has invested in. Was that CNN? You know what? Why does he have? Why would he have business with CNN?
Do you know how he got like his first bit of money so he could invest in Microsoft. And basically him and his mate, they invented like one of the first traffic cameras that can like read your number plate on your car when you're going into a car park or whatever. Yeah, that's how he first got his money. And then his mum was working at IBM, and his dad was already a millionaire, Bill Gates Senior. But then
Yeah,
he
so
got
he was born in the money.
kind of, yeah. But then he sold the operating system to IBM, and then
His
that's
dad
how he
was
became a
something.
millionaire.
What
Huh?
about his mum? What was she?
I forget her name.
She was a
But
leader, not a leader, in a big organization.
Mary Gates.
She was a billionaire, millionaire, billionaire.
I think it was his dad that was rich. Yeah.
Yeah. Bill Gates could have turned around and said, "Dad, I want to use this money to help the people, not do this sort of shit." Why? This is my question. Why, guys, in the chat or Age, why would Bill Gates have connections with CNN? Why?
So you could suppose control what the masses are seeing, maybe, and then you can sell your products this way. It's just buying it, I suppose.
We need a guest on. Let me post the link in the chat.
I reckon everyone believes they're doing good with money. Like, I suppose if you get rich and like, I don't know, rich people do all these fancy like raising money and that, and yeah, they probably think that what everyone thinks is different. What they do with their money, I suppose. Money changes a person. If you guys were billionaires, you would change too. I bet we would, yeah. You can sit here and say, "Oh, I would do this with my billions." But then if it comes to it and someone said to you, "Oh, do you want to make 10 billion from that 1 billion that you've got?" And you'd be like, "Oh, go on then." And then you'd want to get richer and richer, and then somehow the markets would sink and you'd lose all your money and you'd be back to square one.
Yeah, no. With these guys that we're talking about, they've been brought up in the money already, most of them.
Yeah.
And the positions that they are now is because of their background. Even Elon Musk, they say that he was living he built his all of his organizations that he sold off in the basement of his mum's massive mansion,
Yeah. Yeah.
They
White
don't
South
add that
African.
part.
I think anyone who was white in South Africa was born into a bit more privilege, I suppose. Who was next then? Who we got next? Joe Biden. We need a token on for this one. Joe Biden.
Greyman is good for this, but he's on another panel now. We'll leave him there. he likes Elon Musk,
Yeah.
but I think he knows a lot about all of the guys that we got here. I don't listen to the news much. I don't even watch TV. So I try and stay off that because it's all mind games and manipulation, and then it makes you think differently. It makes you view things awkwardly. It's not right.
It
It's
sucks
not
you
right
in.
for the brain. Yeah.
Yeah, check these next pictures out of Joe Biden. Can you see them?
What's this chart? Who we got here? Oh
Well,
no,
this
Joe
is like
Biden.
this is the corruption in Ukraine that was found out all through Burisma Holdings and how they've been funneling like millions. Where's the other one? There's another one somewhere. I've got loads of pictures of the Biden family and some of their corruption over years of it, really. They seem to like invest in shit that goes tits up. They're not very good investors, the Bidens, I'd say.
Oh, I just wanted to address this. Mickey Mouse, um, he hasn't commented, but if anyone sees him, tell him I said he wasn't blocked. He's not blocked in this stream.
No, he's not blocked.
Why would I block you, Mickey? Why? What's been said on YouTube, because I've taken a break from it all. If I'm on, I'm only on one stream, like Under a Blood Red Skies yesterday. That's the only stream I've been on all week. Oh yeah, thanks again, Batman, for the membership, and thanks to everyone as well. Hello to Anne Marie. We've got Age pressing the one. Vanished. Good to see you, mate. Agent X. You're the best.
You're the best.
Olgham, the bold. Welcome, mate. Nice to see you. Good evening, token explorers.
Good evening. Where is Token? Oh, yeah.
Let's do the evening register. It's almost 10 o'clock. So the way this works is you have to put one in the chat if you bash the like button. Yeah, look, Recording Reality is here. Look, the link is pinned. Look, I was talking about you earlier, mate. Mr. Grey Man, my good friend. He likes Elon Musk. I know he's got a lot So what about Elon Musk now? We're going to learn some new things about Elon Musk this evening if he jumps on. Let's not only talk about when it comes to Elon Musk.
Got loads of people to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, just trying to put it
Been a
into
busy few years.
Yes, okay. Mr. Son of Sam is here. Let's invite him on.
Let's share the picture quick. Evening.
How's it going?
Hello, Grey Man.
Can you hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah.
5-5, sound and quality.
We're talking about Mr. Musk.
Let's bring up the chart. Wait, what's this picture first?
Oh, this is all of Elon's companies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vast,
OpenAI is not anymore, but
vast is how we'd describe that.
communications, I suppose, is Starlink, Twitter, Neuralink, OpenAI. Transportation is like the Tesla cars, SpaceX, boring. And then he's got his like energy sort of sector, isn't he?
I've said this before and I'll say it again about Elon Musk. He's not going to be remembered for his contributions to the contributions that he's made to these companies. Yeah, is obviously vastly important. He's a very, very accomplished engineer, and he's got a unique way of trying to solve problems. He's often quoted as having said, in fact, there's video footage of him saying it, the best process is no process, and the best part is no part. You know, when it comes to building a spaceship, for example, you need to make it as light as possible. So anything that doesn't absolutely have to be there shouldn't be there. It's kind of, you know, it's straightforward. It's simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Do you know what I mean?
Basically,
but it's his engineering principles that'll be remembered for, and also the way that he builds factories. He's revolutionized
the gigafactories. Yeah.
Yes, that's his biggest contribution. It's a vertical integration as a manufacturing technique. He has no supply chain, none, because he makes everything himself. No off-the-shelf parts, he just makes them.
Apart from he gets a lot of his like lithium and sort of raw materials from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he ships raw materials from all over the world. I'm sure he does. And you know, there's gigafactories in China. There's one in Germany. You know, that are either already producing cars or that are being built and scaled up to be able to, you know, they're completely outstripping all expectations of what people thought they were going to do just with Tesla alone. You know, when Tesla first came onto the scene, everybody, even Clarkson on Top Gear, I remember watching him drive around in the Roadster, the first Tesla car, the Roadster. And they basically staged it to make it look like it ran out of battery power. And obviously Tesla could prove that it didn't. So it was staged by the BBC and by Clarkson to discredit the electric car. And then, you know, it's probably going to be in a couple of years. Within a couple of years, it will be the best-selling car in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
It's already the most valuable vehicle company in the world. It's already more valuable than Toyota, GM, Ford, all the big boys. I don't know if it's bigger than like BMW and Mercedes. It's BMW, Audi in it, and Mercedes is a separate one. But yeah, like I say, his contribution isn't to the individual fields where his companies lie. It's to the way that he looks at problem solving and how he designs the factory almost before he designs the car, if that makes sense. The design of the car has to be capable of being made in the factory with as little human involvement as possible. Pretty much the entire of his production line is automated. You know,
Yeah,
and the people
biggest-
that are there, they don't actually touch the vehicle. They're there just to oversee the machines, and they're all engineers.
Greyman, he's got the biggest building in the world, the biggest factory in the world. It's the biggest
Yeah.
building in the world. It's
There's a
like over
gigafactory in Sparks, isn't it? Nevada.
It's like over 1 mile long or something.
Yeah, you can see it from space,
Yeah,
and it's covered with solar panels.
yeah. It's all automated in there.
Mm-hmm. Raw materials come in one end, finished cars go out the other. It's integrated with a Panasonic battery factory. That's something to say when you're pissed, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Say
yeah,
that again.
the Panasonic
Integrated
battery factory.
Let's talk about his dealings, though.
What do you
Those
mean dealing?
the batteries that he gets. You know, a lot of the percentage-wise that he gets the ingredients to make these batteries are from like poorer countries, but they use like children and shit like that.
That's cobalt, though. I don't think he uses cobalt in the batteries. That's more like mobile phones and stuff.
And look, any manufacturing process that requires resources is going to involve inevitably, because of the nature of it, some form of exploitation, whether or not that's exploitation of a natural environment, such as digging a dirty great big fucking hole in the middle of a jungle because there's some resource underneath it that you want to get access to, or exploitation of people to go in and mine it and extract it, you know.
Look, Elon Musk can't keep a wife, so he must have some thoughts. Money can't buy some things.
I would have thought it would be damn near impossible to live with someone like Elon Musk, because number one, he's a workaholic. He works like 90 hours a week. He sleeps very, very little. But
In the factory as well, sometimes.
yeah,
Didn't he sell he sold like 8 of his mansions, and he's got one left. And
he doesn't own any now.
He lives in like a 20-foot house or something.
It's
small.
like a trailer.
Yeah, tiny. 50 grand it
at
cost him or
Starbase.
Yeah, basically on site.
Yep. The guy's so obsessed. It's his dream, his vision that SpaceX is enacting out there in Texas. Have you been watching the footage?
I see some every now and then.
The first orbital flight is literally imminent. He's aiming for 420 for the 20th of April.
What, for an orbital around the Earth? Or?
Yes. So basically, it's going to take off from Florida, fly around the world, pretty much, and splash down in the Pacific, off the coast of Hawaii, and they're gonna send a boat to it because it'll float. It's a big fucking steel can. It'll just bob and float, and they're gonna bring it in slowly because what the aim is to do eventually. They've built a structure at the launch site, and it's got two arms that stick out off of the tower, and it's designed to catch the Starship mid-flight because they don't want to put landing legs on it. Because if you put landing legs that are powerful enough to take the weight and shock of the spaceship coming down and survive the heat of the engines as well, that's a serious engineering challenge to bring that to fruition. They managed it with the Falcon 9. Obviously, that lands and it's got folding landing legs that it puts out at the last second and it lands on them. It's like a little tripod. But to do that that can deal with 33 Raptor engines and the weight of, say, for example, the booster section, damn near impossible, mate. From a material science perspective, you know what I mean? We're just not there with the level of materials that we can produce to be able to do that yet. So they decided it'd be easier just to catch it out of thin air with these chopsticks. So it'll fly between these chopsticks. The chopsticks will close onto these pins on the top of it and catch it, and engines will cut.
Right. That's mad.
They already use this tower to lift the booster and put the actual Starship part of the top part of the rocket. They already use that to stack it up, and this tower is fucking massive. And I mean, it has to be because the rocket itself's huge, and when it launches, it will be the largest and most powerful rocket ever launched by mankind.
What do you think about him buying Twitter? Because that's had a big effect, I think.
I think it was a mistake.
I think it was a mistake.
I do.
What for him or for humanity?
For him personally.
Or maybe for him.
I don't understand why he's done it.
Well, he seems to think that. What was it he said? In order to get like humanity to go to the moon, he's kind of, I don't know, he's got to convince not only like the American government and NASA to like, keep bankrolling him, but
I think it's inevitable that he's going to succeed in going to the moon, whether or not he has United States government assistance to do so. Yeah. It would be nice for him to have NASA share some of the development costs, because obviously it's going to be expensive. But the reason that SpaceX has been as successful as it has is because, number one, they are super, super reliable. They are. Yeah. It does what it says on the fucking tin. They very, very rarely have equipment failure that results in the loss of the cargo, yeah? They occasionally have had equipment failure upon landing, but basically what that means is that rocket can't be used anymore. But the other rockets that they're sending up, they've been up 10, 11, 12 times, some of them. That's reusability. And that is where their biggest advantage is over all of their competitors, because they don't waste all that money on building a rocket to have it burn up in the atmosphere or splash it down in the ocean. they recover it and use it again and again and again, and it makes their flights a lot cheaper than everybody else's.
Yeah. Well, it's like forced the rocket industry to produce like reusable rockets.
Everyone's aiming towards that now. Everybody.
Yeah. Same
In
with
fact,
the car industry, electric car industry. You force them to like start producing electric cars.
you know, when he first started Tesla, he said it was never my intention to make an electric car company that, you know, was successful and sold as many cars as he has.
No.
It was his intention to force and to demonstrate to other companies that this could be done.
Yeah,
Not just like on a
one-off, wasn't it?
Well, do you remember the first early electric cars, like the Nissan Leaf?
Yeah.
And I mean, the Prius isn't bad for a hybrid, but the all electric Prius is absolutely wank, mate. Charge it up all night and you get like 20 miles out of it.
Oh yeah, another reason why I think he bought Twitter is because of Neuralink. Because in the future, he reckons like you'll be able to think your what do you call it? Your like.
Could you imagine if all your thoughts were turned into tweets?
Exactly.
Oh,
I think that's a huge reason why he's bought Twitter.
how many? God, there would be such a thing as a thought crime, wouldn't there?
I think that's 5 years away. That's got to be 5 years away. Like, if they've already selling like Neuralinks to people already, slowly.
Well, no, I think that when, as far as I'm aware, the development was basically to introduce it to as a medical device. Yeah. So, in patients who have suffered spinal nerve injury and resulting in like lower paralysis, they could potentially use Neuralink to bypass the damage to the spinal column to make it so that people can walk. So you put obviously a receiver in the brain that picks up on the brain energy that is produced when your brain tells your legs to walk, and then transmits that to an emitter on the good part of the, you know, at the other side of the break in the spinal column, in the spinal nerve, and stimulate that nerve through electrical activity to generate the walking impulse. So it has a lot of potential to help a lot of people. People who've had retinal nerve damage and are blind as a result of that. If you can attach electrodes to the retinal nerve and bypass, you know, and implant that directly into the cortex that deals with vision, then you can have them see again. They've used it in pigs to get pigs to walk again after they've intentionally paralyzed them. Kind of barbaric, but is what it is. Am I talking? Is everybody gone?
No, I'm here. I'm back. Yeah.
Miss J, we were talking about we've spoken about Bill Gates, we've spoken about Joe Biden, and now we was on about Elon Musk and his like companies, what they do. I suppose next we got Putin and Soros and other famous people of 2023. Hit like if you haven't. There's 17 of you, there's only 16 likes.
Oh no, there's one person that didn't bash it. So Vladimir Putin. Why is he on the list, Age? Famous person.
Oh, he's got to be like one of the most famous people of this year and last year, isn't he? I suppose.
But everybody certainly knows his name, and he is exceedingly rich.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Obviously, Russia's what's classically known as an oligarchy.
Yeah. So I reckon we are as well, though. Just a little bit different. It's a lot more tighter there, though. There's less people that control it in Russia, whereas in England, there's so many members of the aristocracy in it.
So all of the key players in Russian politics, in Russian power, are ex-KGB.
Yeah.
All of them. And the reason that they're all ex-KGB is because KGB was obviously the Soviet intelligence services. And when the Soviet Union was about to collapse, the first people that knew that it was going to collapse would be, well, the intelligence services, wouldn't you? Wouldn't it? Because, I mean, they're paid to know these things. So as the Soviet Union was collapsing, they went round and bought up all these state industries that were previously owned by the communist state for literally pennies, and now are the richest and most powerful people in Russia.
Yeah. There was about 20 of them, wasn't it? Not many. And then about 10 years after, I think Putin got rid of a lot of them, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he eliminated a lot of his competition, so now there's pretty much just him. And I think maybe one or two of his key advisors, but then, even then, you know, there's I don't know if it's propaganda or what, but I do keep reading that there are rumors of a coup fermenting in the Kremlin. But I mean, do you really think that they'd be stupid enough to advertise that? Yeah. And then there's people speculating that he's dying, isn't there? That he's got
that's all bollocks. Yeah.
Alzheimer's and cancer or something.
Yeah, I won't believe any of that shit.
Well, I don't know. Oh, there's a guy, a pro-Russian military journalist. He was a blogger on Telegram, essentially, that blogged about weapons and stuff like that. And the basically what's going on in Ukraine, and he got like 500,000 followers, but he was killed in a targeted bomb blast in I believe in Moscow. So they're thinking that it was either the Ukrainians or it was the Russians, because he'd been very pro Wagner Group. Basically, are you familiar with the Wagner Group? Group.
Was this the reporter today that he got blown up in a cafe? Yeah.
So it could have been the Ukrainians, or it could have been somebody, you know, allied with Putin, because he was saying very pro sort of Wagner stuff. You know that the
what happened today? Something blew up.
Yeah, there was a bomb in Moscow in a cafe.
There was a bomb inside the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people died?
One person died, 25 were injured.
Wow.
It was targeted to kill one person.
Yeah.
Batman said Jedward are more famous.
Who was this person? A political.
He was just Greyman was just saying that he was like affiliated and he was a big supporter of the Wagner Group.
Oh,
or something.
Okay, right. Like
you know the
like an influencer.
Well, it was on Telegram. He had like 500,000 followers on Telegram. And yeah, so I've forgotten what I was going to say now. But yeah, it could have been either one of them, really. Ukraine is a massive money laundering black hole. Every previous war since Vietnam was televised, but why not this one? It is televised if you look in the right places. You see loads of drone footage of the drones dropping the grenades on the tanks and on the troops and stuff. That's awesome. I love that shit. Call me a bit sadistic, but
not as much as all the other wars though. They do a lot of like on the ground reports but they don't seem to be doing that.
It's pretty fucking dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
Have you noticed that they're not releasing casualty figures for the Ukrainians? They're not telling us how many Ukrainians have died, are they?
They estimate it's about 150,000 to like 30
That's a
or 40,000.
fucking meat grinder, is that, mate?
Yeah, it's horrible. But
so maybe they don't want to, because let's not forget that this is not that far from home, and this conflict has the potential to escalate at any moment.
Yeah.
Given the fact that it's born supposedly of Russia's unwillingness to allow Ukraine to align itself with the West.
Yeah, there's a number of reasons, but that's one of them.
Well, Ukraine's very rich in resources as well. It's pretty much the breadbasket of Europe.
Black soil, isn't it?
It's got a very, very fertile plain running across it. It's I think it's the Danube, isn't it, that runs all the way through it? Is it the Danube? There's a big river that runs through the middle of the country?
No, it's I forget what it's called. The Dnieper River.
Yeah. But like I say, it produces a lot of the world's grain. There have been exasperations of the famine that's been ongoing in I think it's Yemen and Eritrea, because they were getting a lot of their grain from the Ukraine. And because the Black Sea is pretty much closed off, the Russians they had come to some sort of agreement that allowed them to trickle some grain out. But I mean, it's coming out of a war zone. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is literally just a trickle. There's not many captains that would be willing to go sailing in the Black Sea at the minute.
No.
But the Ukrainians are doing remarkable things, considering it was expected that the Russians would just roll straight over.
Well, yes, they got NATO behind them, haven't they?
Well, not directly. I mean, yeah, they're supplying them with munitions, aren't they? But
they're like commanding the whole army,
they've got
divisions and.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got NATO advisors deeply embedded in Ukraine. They were on paper; they won't be there, but they're there.
Yeah.
But did you see that the Russians had brought down one of the American drones?
They crashed into it.
Yeah,
they sprayed it with fucking fuel.
Yeah, they sprayed it with fuel, didn't it, in the air?
Mm.
And then it just sort of stopped working, the propeller.
Well, that fuel at that altitude, when it's out like that, depressurized, it'd probably freeze, you know. It's cold up there.
So it's just rock hard.
Yeah, pretty much. And if not, if it gets into a hot, I mean, that I'm pretty sure. Does it have a petrol engine? The Predator drone? Is it a Predator that it hit? It was either a Predator or one of the evolutions of it. I think it'll have probably been unarmed. It'll have been a reconnaissance drone, won't it? Who do you think blew up the gas pipeline?
I think it was the Americans, wasn't it? It's got to be, or the British.
To what end? Why would you do that?
To force the EU to not only import higher priced gas from India and China who buy it from Russia, but then say that they're not getting it from Russia. But also that means America can get the foot in the door and start selling their gas to Europe, which they have now. So they blew up the pipeline basically, and then
No,
but it just put all the prices up of a lot of things, didn't it?
Well, no. That's what they're blaming.
Yeah, that's what they're blaming, but
that's not what the reality is. We have the entire economy. Think of the monetary supply as like a glass of cordial pop, yeah. So when you make a glass of cordial, you put a bit of the concentrate in the bottom of your glass, and you put some water in. And the more water you put in, the more diluted the taste becomes. So in 2008, and with the pandemic, we pumped billions and billions of pounds into the economy to prop the economy up. Every major government around the world did pretty much the same thing on both of those occasions, yeah. And the problem with that is that it dilutes the value of the money that's circulating around the market. The rich have realized that, there's people have got excess money from furlough payments, from government incentives that were brought out to support businesses and vulnerable people when this pandemic happened, and they want their slice of that pie. So the best way to get that is to put up things that people rely on in order to live. So food, energy, rent. That's exactly what's happening.
Like the German economy for the last 25, 30 years has been massive because they've been getting cheap oil from Russia. And that kind of, in a way, it boosted the EU, and the EU sort of became a competitor to the UK and the USA. And they didn't really want that.
Mm.
So it seems
it's definitely forced the Central European countries to pick a side, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But the Baltic states, I think it was Sweden, they'd had some objections raised for some reason by Turkey to their admission to NATO. But apparently they've resolved that issue now, and the Sweden joining NATO is going to be ratified really quite soon. And that is literally a country that borders with Russia. Is less than
Sweden and Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be mad.
Well, Sweden as a border with, I think it's less than 20 miles away from fucking St. Petersburg, which is the second largest city in Russia.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg obviously used to be the capital of Russia until the Russians realized the vulnerability of it and moved it to Moscow.
I think it is the Swedish and the Finnish. They got all the way up to St. Petersburg. They couldn't break St. Petersburg, but they got all the way up to there at one point. And the Russians pushed them all the way back.
The Second World War.
Yeah, I think that was.
Well, I think one of them allied with the Nazis, didn't they?
Finland.
One of them ended up being. I think they got taken over, and the military was used by the Nazis to fight the Russians, but obviously it proved to be futile, didn't it?
Resistance is futile.
The Russians' biggest advantage when it comes to defense of Russia is the fact that the place is so fucking massive.
Yeah. Huge.
It is absolutely. It's the largest country on earth. But what that means is if you've got large distances to travel between places of strategic importance, and if your enemy adopts a parched earth policy in its retreat and burns every fucking possible resource or removes every resource as they're retreating, your army's got fuck all to feed itself with. Your supply line becomes extended. You become invulnerable to counterattack. And that's what every army that's invaded Russia has learnt that lesson. Napoleon learnt it. The Germans learnt it. You know, and especially don't do it in winter. Whatever you do,
No.
do not invade Russia in winter. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. You'll freeze to death. Or you won't, because you can ride back and retreat back to Paris like Napoleon did. But, most of his troops did. How many millions disappeared?
700 billion disappeared.
That money didn't disappear. It's in someone's bank account somewhere.
It's divided up into bits.
So there was a councillor in Bradford that's been convicted and sent to jail because he fraudulently made claims on the Eat Out to Help Out thing to the government on businesses that he had no fucking association with. So, he wrote in claiming to be the owner of this business, that business, and asking for, you remember when the government was basically paying half of your bill when you went to eat out?
I don't know. I can't remember it. Yeah.
Eat Out to Help Out thing. It happened for like a month or so. It was in August. It was to encourage people to get back out into businesses and stuff.
And then they wanted you to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Apart from where you're eating, that's like.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to do it.
So, this guy had made numerous claims for money under this scheme and been given the money, but he ended up getting caught. And this guy was on the local council in Bradford. So, went from being in a position of trust to dodginess.
So it happens.
Talking of dodgy, what do you think of George Soros? I think he's one of the most evil men.
I don't know enough about him, if I'm being honest.
George Soros. I've heard a thing or two about him. But age, what was he saying?
When was it? I think it was 91 or 92. Basically, the UK, they tried putting the pound into the ERM system or whatever it was, European exchange rate or something. EER.
European exchange mechanism.
That's the one, ERM, European exchange mechanism. And George Soros basically shorted it and started like ripping off. He made like 2 billion in one day in like 1992 or something. It's pretty.
Wow, 2 billion in one day.
Yeah, and then the British government had to pull out of this thing, which is why we've never had the euro since, because it almost bankrupted the British government in one day. It's pretty mad. I don't understand it too much, but what he did.
It's,
That was just one thing. Like, that's just one thing. That was like in the 90s. He's done something like loads of things in loads of different countries. He seems to fund all the like revolutions that have happened, like the ones in Ukraine in 2012. There was some in Georgia, the ones in Egypt, the what are they called, the springs,
Arab Spring,
the
Libya,
he funded a lot
the
of these,
Gaddafi.
yeah, like revolutionary coups. It basically overthrows the governments, and then they install like American or Western
friendly governments. Yeah,
they call him like the puppet master. Yeah,
right.
share this picture, local.
yes.
Yeah, all the things apparently he has his hands in. Black Lives Matter, and
I'm just waiting for it to come on my TV. So is it basically saying that Clinton and Obama are Soros puppets?
oh yeah, they're definitely Soros puppets. Like basically years ago in the 80s, 90s and early 2000s, the CIA would directly go into a country and like train its like the opposition to like into democracy and all that, and then they'd
Have you
fund,
ever heard
like,
of a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman?
yeah. But what Soros used to do is he'd send all these like people into different countries under the CIA's name, but then they had to change it from the CIA because it was just
Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
So the what you're talking about is black books of economic hitman operations.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, we tried it in Iran when they installed the Shah in Iran.
Yeah.
And that obviously failed. And the way it failed was there was a religious, essentially a coup with the military siding with the Ayatollahs, which were the religious figures, and they overthrew the Shah, and that's why the Americans and the Iranians fell out, basically, because the Shah were the Americans' guy.
Yeah. And now instead of using like the CIA directly, they use the National Endowment Agency or the NED,
Oh yeah,
or they use USAID. It's just it's just hidden, but it's basically CIA agents that it's like a revolving door. They work for the CIA, then they work for these like other things, and then they go back. And
so do you know how people go on about us sending money to like India as foreign aid?
Yeah.
The biggest majority of the time, that money is used to develop infrastructure projects that benefit British interests that are still operating out in India. Because there's a lot of companies that are, have still got owners that can be traced back to British former colonial owners. They're not, they haven't all been reclaimed by the Indians. There's and it's a big market. Is India? There's a billion people live in India. You know.
Yeah, it's a growing market.
Well, that money, like I said, that money is used to develop infrastructure that benefits British companies. But not only that, the Indians share a lot of their intelligence with us. You know, their military intelligence. And when you consider that for many, many years, the biggest perceived threat to British security has been Islamic terrorists, and they have a country that they're almost de facto at war with, right on their border, that harbors a lot of people that have the potential to be, you know, extremists. That information is valuable, isn't it? Or it would be if that was your particular flavour of paranoia. Oh, did you guys hear about that thing in Bradford?
Man getting burnt.
No, some guy, that was in Birmingham, I think, actually. In Bradford, a guy walked into a police station with a knife and an air gun and started shooting at the staff and threatening people, and yeah, fucking craziness in a police station.
Today?
Yesterday.
What, doing what?
I was thinking that was it'd be a prime auditing target to go there the day after with a camera. Think about how fucking on edge those cops are going to be.
Yeah. Or even in the evening tonight.
The last time a police station was attacked, well, can you tell me when that was? Yeah, 2 days ago. Some nutcase came in with a fucking knife and a gun.
Yeah, I don't think they want you filming around there.
No. So I was reading another news report as well. There was a bloke that had attacked a police officer with a knife, and the police officer's handcuffs, the placement of the handcuffs had literally saved the officer's life. They deflected the knife blow, and they managed to knock this guy out. Yeah. But you should see fucking state of his face in mugshot. He looked like he'd done 10 rounds with fucking Mike Tyson. He was proper fucked up. Nose broken. I think his jaw was broken. If you look at it, his mouth's, you know, slightly to one side and open. 2 black eyes, cuts all over his face. Fucking, they must have really gone to town on him. So, in 2022, excess death was 666,666, not with a knife or a gun. Is that for real? That's some weird numerology going to work there.
Yeah, I heard about this. The India's students launched a Match 5 rocket.
Really?
That's hypersonic, is that, mate? Qualifies as being hypersonic, doesn't it?
Oh, did you hear about Kazakhstan? They've taken the spaceport from Russia.
Really?
Yeah, it's on their land. It's on their land, and they've taken it. Because of,
they told the Russians you're not using it anymore.
Yeah. They got unpaid fields. Yeah.
Does that not make the Russians pretty much unable to access space now?
Exactly, that's the question.
Surely
now.
they've got their own spaceport.
No, Baikonur in Kazakhstan was the main Russian spaceport.
Yeah.
It's where they trained. It's where they trained all the cosmonauts.
It's only 15 miles away from the border, though, of Russia.
Yeah, no one's going to bat an eyelid if they go in there and take it, are they?
Yeah.
Considering what they're already fucking up to. There'll be a lot of arm waving and fucking hoorahing, but the Russians will say, well, it's still got all our equipment there. I mean, they've had problems with Mir, haven't they? With the the Soyuz capsule. Did you hear about that?
No.
The what? No.
The Soyuz capsule is the Russian capsule that they used to take cosmonauts up to ISS, yeah. And while it was docked with the ISS, it suffered a coolant leak, and basically the coolant is what keeps the inside of the Soyuz capsule habitable. Because when you're coming in on re-entry, the sort of heats that it's subjected to are massive. So you need an active cooling system built into the walls of the capsule to dissipate that heat to stop you from cooking the fucking cosmonauts inside.
Yeah.
And the coolant, obviously, a coolant leak. There's no coolant to replace it up there in space. So yeah, the Russian cosmonauts are going to have to. I don't know if they have come down yet. They're going to have to come down probably in one of the Crew Dragon, the SpaceX capsules.
Yeah.
There was speculation that it's the possibility that it could have been sabotaged. There's been some weird shit happening up on the ISS. They had to do an altitude correction because for some reason something had happened and fucked with the altitude. So yeah, it's a.
Aren't they going to abandon that soon though? It must be old now. It must
Yeah,
be, what,
2030 probably. The Chinese are building their own. The Russians are probably going to go into partnership with the Chinese, to be fair.
Yeah. The International Space Station, that's losing its life now.
Yeah.
So they're thinking of gliding it down to Earth and letting it
The next space
disintegrate
station
in the
that'll be
atmosphere.
the next space station that'll be made, I think, will be made by a commercial manufacturer.
No, but China has got one now in space.
Yeah, they have. It's nowhere near as big as the ISS, obviously, because the ISS.
No. But
years and years to
inside,
build.
it's futuristic inside.
So
Is that how you would imagine a space station?
How I envisage a space station is basically an orbital ring. Not an orbital ring, imagine like a disc, yeah? And it needs to be like a roulette wheel where it spins, because in the outer layer of spin, you can have simulated gravity because of the centrifugal effect. Whereas in the center of the circle, the middle of the spokes, yeah, you'd have no gravity at all, and increasing levels of gravity as you go out. So and it's quite easy to make. You have like a central. That's where you put your receiving bay, where incoming spaceships would dock into that area. You'd have like a massive airlock. Do you know what I mean? Where you fly the ship into the airlock, close the doors, and then you get out the ship and you can do service on the ship and whatever you need to do. Yeah, that's that's the center of it, and that'll be in 0G as well. So it'll make unloading cargo off of any spaceship that you bring up really, really easy because there's no gravity. You just throwing fucking 20-ton boxes about literally like it's nothing because there's no gravity. But obviously human beings, you can't really. The ISS has shown that you can't really live in 0G for too long without there being health. effects.
Starts like eating your bones, doesn't it? Or
Yeah, nearly
Not
every
eating them,
astronaut
but-
that spent a pretty long period of time has suffered osteoporosis, as they've got later on in life, because the zero gravity affects bone density. It also affects your heart health as well. And it's one of the reasons why you'll see them strapped in the ISS doing the exercise on the treadmill and stuff to hold them against it. But if you had an orbital ring and the outside spinning, the gravity that's created by that would mean that you could live a relatively normal life, albeit in a rotating space station orbiting Earth. But I think it'll be a commercial manufacturer that makes the first one, and it'll be a hotel. And
Yeah.
I think that what will happen is universities will send science teams up there to go conduct
and
experiments.
Rich people can afford like hotel
Yeah,
for a
of
couple
course.
of days, like 50
Yeah.
grand for 3 days or whatever. Probably
Well,
more.
the thing is, that's one of Elon Musk's goals, is to make space flight affordable so that everyone has the prospect within their life possibly to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It will only get affordable once you can go up the speed of light, or almost.
I disagree. Affordability comes from reusability, and efficient manufacturing methods. And we know that Elon Musk's working towards reusability. That's the whole point of him building Starship, Both parts are going to be reusable. But also, he's literally building a production line for making these starships. So lots of starships that are reusable, that can go up to space again and again and again, like an aeroplane.
I know what you're saying, but you're basing everything on money. The faster you go, the bigger the payload. So if they
but
go
the more
at the
energy
speed
is
of light,
required to get it to that speed. And
I know,
the thing
but
is as well,
if you invented the engine that goes at the speed of light, then everything else will be easier.
there's consequences to traveling at the speed of light as well,
It doesn't matter how big you get, the machine will get you to the speed of light.
Well, using conventional engineering and science as we understand it at the moment, the only way to move yourself in space is to have some form of reaction engine. And what that means is you need a propellant that you carry with you and you eject out of the back of your craft, and that creates thrust. So that moves you through space. Now, the problem with that is that in order to get to the speed of light, you'd have to carry so much thrust, so much fuel to thrust out of the back of your ship. It would take more atoms than there are in the universe to be able to do it.
Don't they bend like space in Star Trek?
Yes, warp speed is slightly different. You're bending the fabric of space time. It's fucking about with gravity, basically. So as you get closer to the event horizon of a black hole, time travels differently to how it travels in the rest of the universe. because the fabric of space-time, which is one continuous thing, it's one and the same thing, is space-time. You can't have time without space. You can't have space without time. So as it warps, your perception of time would be skewed. As you were falling into a black hole, it would feel like you were falling forever, even though you fell really, really quickly, and you'd pretty much die almost instantly, but you wouldn't know it.
Why would it feel like you're falling forever?
Because time slows right down. Time would feel like it had slowed down to a crawl. Yeah, and you'd be spaghettified. Your atoms would literally just be ripped apart.
It would feel like 10 years, but it happens in
an instant.
Split second.
Yeah.
This is the example. Say if we was on Jupiter right now, time will be different here on Earth to there. One day over there, like from sunrise to sunset, is like a year on planet Earth.
Yeah, there's a few planets that have even the moon. There's a 28-day day. Do you know what I mean? Because the moon is tidally fixed.
Oh.
No, it's a 28-day day. The moon is tidally locked with Earth. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, I get you. Yeah.
The face is always facing. It's only one side that faces the Earth.
Yeah.
That means that in 1 month that it takes it to go from full moon to full moon, it makes one revolution because it's tied to the Earth, so it only goes around once. So when we see the phases of the moon as it moves across the night sky, we'll see it go from full to waxing to a new moon, so there's no moon at all, and then waning, and the other way around, waning and waxing. But that's basically as the moon's moving round the Earth relative to us and where the sun's shining on the moon.
That's why we should have 13 months then. Like split it into 28 days a month almost. But then you'd have 1 day, I think.
Yeah, but that's they call that New Year's Day and you don't do anything. It's a bank holiday.
True.
And make it the winter solstice. So it ties in with Christmas. So are these all the different subjects that you've done?
Yeah, so far.
So what we having next week?
I think we'll leave it up to you. What do you think?
I was thinking the other day we should talk about AI and stuff maybe, but
let's talk about aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, right. We haven't spoken about that. And space. Yeah. Well, we have, innit? We have.
I want to talk about the Fermi paradox specifically.
I've heard of it,
possible solutions to the Fermi paradox. Well, here's some homework for you. Have a look for a channel called Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur. SFIA.
Post it in the Discord.
You what, sorry?
Post it in the Discord.
I haven't been on there for ages, mate. I don't even know if I've still got it on my phone.
Well, you're still in there. There's that I'll post it in there.
Hang on, I'll have a look, see if I can put it in there. Can't
And
remember what book I've pulled it
you'll know
before
what
there.
you're talking about. Us.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm on there now.
Oh yeah, Age. What did you say? You mentioned something about a quiz. What was your idea about the
Yeah, when
quiz?
we get to 20, man, when we get to 20, we should do a quiz and get some people on, see if they want to get involved. I don't know.
Do a quiz about the 20 topics that we spoke about.
Yeah, about all these.
Yeah.
How would you
I'll
pick
be
the
the
question?
presenter. Or me and you can be presenter, and we'll get some people on. See who's been listening.
Just do it from the can. A, B, C, or D.
Scotland, yeah, Scotland does have a space. He's getting a spaceport.
The Fermi
Be interesting,
paradox.
won't it?
Well, you got
You
the
guys
Drake
hear-
equation. The Drake equation's a good one.
Yeah, the Drake equation is an attempt at a solution to the Fermi paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
Calculating basically what the probability of there being intelligent life out there, and is it possible that
There is. No, there is. Grey man, there is. There's they
We
say
have to bring some
uh,
videos next week as well.
NASA, yeah.
Next time.
Sorry, Edge. NASA have confirmed only about 4,000 exoplanets that could be habitable, but that's just nothing in the
And the Drake equation
galaxy,
says there's about
in the
5,000,
Milky
doesn't
Way.
it?
Yeah, but in our whole Milky Way, there's about 8 billion habitable planets.
There's probably vastly more than that. I mean, the sort of numbers that you're talking are astronomical, but there's a lot of what you would call great filters that would prevent intelligent life from developing on many of those planets.
See, you're talking about time again, and then the speed of light. From one
No, that's more
side,
environment.
from one side of the galaxy to the other side, it takes about 100,000 light years.
Yeah.
So what's that? One light year is what, 1,000,000 years or something?
But what I'm saying is, you've got to understand that the environmental conditions that led to human beings being capable of having these sort of conversations and reaching the point where we can look up into the sky and say, well, where the fuck is everyone? That the amount of conditions that had to be literally just right is mind-boggling.
Well, yeah. Well, we can't focus too much on the history. Well, we'll have to. Well, it's space.
No, you have to, because you've got to. Human life is the only example of, I use this term loosely, intelligent life in the universe that we have. We're working with a sample size of 1. So if we're thinking about life elsewhere in the universe, we have to look at the only example of life that we know of in the universe, and that's ours.
But you have to be you have to be stupid to think there isn't other solar systems out there. You know, we're not the only one.
I'm not saying that there's not other solar systems out there. What I'm saying is that the specific environmental conditions that led to life being possible on Earth are exceedingly improbable. There's a lot of things that are very specific. Take the moon, for example, yeah? We have an unusually large, for our planet size, moon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. As a proportion, it's almost a sister planet. And the fact is, it was another. In fact, it's part of Earth that was ejected off into space when Earth, a proto-Earth, and another planet, I think it was called Theia, collided, and it was basically the moon is made up of what was the crust of Earth that was ejected into space, formed a disk, and eventually formed the moon. But having that moon means that we have tides. Now, tides mean that we have an environment that is wet on one part of the cycle of the day and dry on another part of the cycle of the day. And that wet to dry exposure to the sun causes chemical reactions to take place. Chemical reactions, which obviously, as you know, eventually became the cause of life. It's often said that I think Darwin said it, that life probably started in a warm tidal pool somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Shallow.
I know this. I know this. We all started the planets that we got now in the solar system. We all started from one place, and one by one, the chemicals come out one by one, and we come out this way.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, a lot of different things had to happen in order for us to become what we are. Do you know what the simplest life on Earth was for the longest time? The first major hurdle life had to overcome in order to become complex. There's an issue with mitochondrial DNA. Do you know what that is?
No,
Do you know what mitochondrial
maybe
DNA
not that
is?
term.
It rings a bell. I've heard of it again.
So, when you look at the cells of advanced organisms, the cell has essentially two forms of DNA. You have DNA that's in the nucleus of the cell, and you also have almost like a separate set of DNA that's in the mitochondria of the cell. Now, you only inherit your mitochondrial DNA from your mother. You never inherit it from your father. Always comes from your mother. But that second set of DNA that's there helps give it regulates how the cell processes energy. And obviously that's a major step in being able to have advanced organisms. But how that second set of DNA got into the evolutionary tree, it's speculated that one organism essentially swallowed another, and the other organism survived, and they ended up becoming symbiotic. And because of their symbiosis, they were more efficient than other organisms, and you have a whole new family tree, and then those organisms then capable of processing energy more efficiently than organisms that didn't have this adaptation. But the chances of that happening, of one organism swallowing another and the swallowed organism surviving, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. But it must have happened because the evidence is there in the DNA to say that happened. That's a one in a how for the longest time, the most history of life was primitive single-celled organisms, bacteria. Yeah, there was nothing complex, and then all of a sudden this event happens, and you see literally an explosion in, they call it the Cambrian explosion, in the diversity of fossils and life forms found.
But Grey Man,
Yeah.
Grey Man, knowing we're here now, and we live on this planet called Earth. And knowing that when we look up into the sky, into space, that there is others like us. So then, don't you think, shit, there must be people out there? 100%, not 99%, 100%.
I think what you've got to bear, you mentioned it as well, you've got to bear in mind time. Yeah. How long have human beings been, when we look up into the night sky, the main way that we're trying to detect, or originally that they tried to detect extraterrestrial life, was to point radio telescopes up and to see if they could catch any broadcasts from alien life forms. Yeah.
Hold on. Um, say if you had not massive, but say if you had a telescope that can look to the next, like Jupiter. I said it takes 1 year for 1 day over there.
Yeah.
So if you got a telescope that can see straight to the skies of Jupiter from here, is that live or is that 1 year from now?
When you're looking at the sun, you're looking at the sun as it was 8 minutes ago.
Yes.
So if the sun blew
Hold
up,
on. This is time. This is time. Does it really take 8 minutes, or is it
I like
when
to
it
travel,
faces
yeah.
us, or does it because time is, what is it, based on science? So you have to go more than science. So then,
there's nothing really more than science, is there? Everything can be boiled down to a chemical equation, can't it? Or a physics equation. Can you name anything that can't be explained by the laws of physics or by the laws of chemistry?
not the top of my head, no.
We know that the universe obeys certain rules. It's just, I don't know, built into the design. Now, obviously,
Yeah, again, it's talking about light speed then, because nothing can go faster than the speed of light. So
No.
what happens when humans do achieve that? Then what?
Well, it would mean you'd have to develop a technology that was able to break the laws of physics.
Okay, so looking at it in 100 years' time or 200 years' time, do you think then we would have it?
No. And you've
I
got to
think we
consider
will.
as well, local, that if you travel anywhere at relativistic speeds, fractions of the speed of light, yes, you get there really, really quickly, yeah. But when you get there, you've got to stop. You're still traveling at a fraction of the speed of light. So if you want to actually it takes as much energy to stop as it does to get to that speed. And the faster you're going, the more energy it takes to stop. So the more fuel you've got to carry with you. Does that make sense?
Uh, Petrol isn't enough to make an engine go to the speed of light.
No, probably not. You'd probably want to use some sort of nuclear propulsion combined with probably hydrogen, because it's the most abundant element in the universe. and you'd want a really, really, really long, thin ship that was shaped, funnily enough, a lot like that comet. That it wasn't even a comet, was it? It was an interstellar object that was traveling through our solar system. Do you remember seeing pictures of that? No. I think it was called like Oamamu or something. That's what they named it, but it was a very unusual shape for an astronomical object. It was long and thin and pencil shaped.
What's this? Asteroid?
No, it wasn't an asteroid. It was an object moving through our solar system. It was from outside of our solar system.
Oh yeah, they think it was a spacecraft, ancient alien spacecraft.
I mean, you know, like I said, the problem is when you start moving at quick speeds and you're covering them sort of distances. I mean, the thing is, if we wanted to leave our solar system, we'd have to invent some form of life extension technology.
I don't know. I think
They are.
I don't know.
You what? Sorry.
I think they are, aren't they?
Well, that's essentially what Neuralink is, by the way.
Yeah.
Neuralink is a path to immortality because once you can upload your consciousness onto a hard drive, if you die, if you can upload your consciousness onto a hard drive, surely you can download consciousness from a hard drive. So if you die, you just have a clone of yourself made.
Yeah.
Download your consciousness. Voila. There you go. Brand new 3D printed body. Oh Jesus! Could you imagine? You could go to a shop and literally get your body 3D printed to the how your body looked when you were like 20 years old. Maybe not 20. I was very overweight at 20. But do you know what I mean? With the vigor and functionality of someone in the prime of their life, and you could go and get that done like every 10 years.
Hold on. When it comes to synthetic bodies, now you have to think deeply now. Imagine you have a clone that has exactly everything, exactly the same now. The whole brain, exactly the same in the brain. The way it's wired and everything, all exactly the same to the scratch on the tip of your finger, you know? What would happen then? Would there be two of you? So would you see two people
No, what would happen
in one eye?
your whole body will be disposed of. You upload your consciousness into the computer, your old body will be terminated and incinerated, and your consciousness will be uploaded into your new body.
But how does the body work? Is it because of the soul?
The soul? What are you talking about? The soul?
Like
There's no
it's a
scientific
copy.
basis for the soul. Walter.
It's a copy of you.
In terms of DNA and anatomical structure, yes, it's a copy of you. It's a replica of you. But if, like you say, if you can upload your consciousness from your body, you can download it into another body. And what better body to download it into than one that is genetically yours anyway?
You know, but you're saying when you die, and the copy lives, but you will be dead.
Well, no, because what makes you you is your concept of consciousness, isn't it?
I
If
know,
you
but
are
now,
uploading your consciousness to a computer, yeah, if your body dies, your brain lives on because you're uploaded onto a computer. That's your consciousness. Every single one of your memories would be capable of being distilled into ones and zeros.
yeah, okay, but it's a copy of you.
Yeah.
So um,
With your brain
when you
function,
die,
with your memories, with your perception of reality, if you can't, if you were incapable of telling the difference, what fucking difference does it make?
you know, well, you will know. Someone else that sees you
Yeah, but
every
if
day
everybody
wouldn't
else
know.
does it, if the chances are, if the technology became available and it was cheap enough, everybody would do it. If offered with the prospect of immortality at living at the prime of your life, you know, the prime of your youth, full of vigor and energy every day, wouldn't you want to do it?
Yeah, everyone would.
No, I wouldn't want to do that way and live forever. I would,
Oh no! If you decided that you'd had enough of being 20, you could, instead of getting your body changed when you were 30, you could live in it for another 10, 20 years. And when your knees start going out, you think, oh fuck that, I want to be 20 years old again.
no, I would, to keep it safe. I wouldn't want to transfer my consciousness. I would rather rip my head off and stick it onto a
Let
robot
me ask you a
body.
question, Local. Let me ask you a question, right? If
Well,
someone said to you, if you went to doctors tomorrow and they said, you've got this condition, it means you've got 2 months to live, yeah? Your body's dying, I'm sorry, mate. But we can put a Neuralink chip in your head and we'll download your consciousness onto a computer and then we can give you a new body. Do you do it?
obviously I would, yeah.
There you go then.
But,
That's it.
but if she was to say all of that stuff that you said, but the conditions are that you will die and it will be a copy of you living your life, then I will say
Yeah, but
no.
if your consciousness is transported from one body to another, if you're, look, do you realize that the body that you inhabit replaces the atoms within itself probably about entirely once every 8 years? Obviously, there's some
But this is
cells,
just a
some there's
theory. This is
hmm?
just a theory.
No, it's a proven fact.
No, it's not.
So do you think that the atoms that are in your body are the same atoms that were in your body when you were 5 years old?
No, of course not. They change every like 7 years in it or something.
That is exactly what I've just said.
Yeah.
Your entire body, including your bones, all the atoms are replenished within like an 8-year cycle. Because cells die at a staggering rate every day, you know. Thankfully, they're replaced by other cells as cells divide and create more cells, and which is one of the reasons why we eat.
Hannah, if you keep thinking like that, Satan will get his way. Start thinking positive.
I'm gonna have to go, man.
Yeah,
Getting on a
we're
bit.
gonna end it there. I thought maybe we can go to two and then end it there.
So yeah, UFOs and aliens next time.
Yeah, man, that
And
sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That'd be a good one. Tonight was good. We
Yeah.
covered all the
Well,
subjects.
thanks for having me on, boys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Always good.
No worries. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Yeah. It's always good to have a little chat and
Yep. Even though sometimes I tend to be a bore.
no, it's all
Hey.
good.
I will catch you all on the flip side.
All right,
See you
cheers,
soon.
man. Thanks
See
for
you
jumping
guys.
on. Thank you, man. And Age,
Yeah, mate.
nice to see you. And again, next week at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good
Cool,
one.
man.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, take it all easy, everyone. Thanks for joining the stream and bashing the like button as well. And catch you again next week at 9:30 on Sunday.